Hello! Greetings mga ka-spacers natin out there from Luzon, Visayas and Mindanao. And sa lahat ng ating mga ka-spacers na nakatutok ngayon worldwide and netwide, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. This is your ka-spacer and space commander, Prof Jun Cajigal, welcoming you to another online telescope viewing. This time my telescope is pointing at our sun with sunspots. No? Nakikita nyo ngayon on screen, marami pong sunspots na makikita natin sa araw. Today is April 28, 2022. Day 28 of Global Astronomy Month 2022. Yan, ilang araw na po at patapos na rin yung celebration natin ng Global Astronomy Month. So join me in the next 20 minutes as we study and observe the sun through the lenses of my telescope. And ito po yung telescope na ginamit ko for our solar imaging today. So that is a Vixen Custom 80mm refracting telescope with a solar filter attached to it. Yan, so nakikita nyo dun sa taas. Ayun ay isang Baader solar filter so that I can observe the sun safely. Alright, and makikita nyo sa ating screen yung araw marami pong sunspots, no? And may movement, no? So mapapansin nyo gumalaw po, nag-change ng position yung mga sunspots. Alright, and what are sunspots anyway? Sunspots are darker, cooler areas on the surface of the sun. Yung visible surface ng araw natin, yung sun, is known as the photosphere. Ayan, so that is the visible surface of the sun, the photosphere. And the photosphere has a temperature of about 5,800 degrees Kelvin. No, ang mga sunspots na nakikita nyo ngayon, they have temperatures of about 3,800 degrees. No, medyo cooler siya ng konti, no? They look dark only in comparison with the brighter and hotter regions of the photosphere around them. Alright po, so ayan po yung mga sunspots. Medyo those are cooler areas on the surface of the sun, yung photosphere. And that is due to disturbances in the sun's magnetic field. Alright, so at mga sunspots na to, technically these are magnetic storms. Alright, again, sunspots are areas on the sun's surface that are relatively cooler and appear dark than its surroundings. And itong mga sunspots na to, no, mas malaki pa sa mundo natin. These sunspots are roughly the size of the Earth or about 20 to 40 times larger than the Earth. And mga ka-spacers, no, we are entering, kaya marami po tayong sunspots na nakikita lately. So kung mapapansin po ninyo, ilang araw ko na rin o ilang linggo ko na rin inoobserbahan ang araw. And because we are entering the so-called solar maximum. This is the phase of the sun cycle wherein there will be an expected increase in solar activity. So pag sinabi nating increase in solar activity, this refers to frequent solar flares and increased number of sunspots, or magkakaroon din po ng increase in coronal mass ejections. Alright po mga ka-spacers, no? So ang tanong bakit mas malamig sila ng konti, no? Why is it that sunspots are relatively cool? Now, because they form at areas where magnetic fields are particularly strong. And these magnetic fields are so strong that they keep some of the heat within the sun from reaching the photosphere or the visible surface of the sun. Alright po, so kaya medyo sila darker because they are cooler, no? They are dark because they are cooler than the surrounding photosphere. Alright, and in a few minutes mga ka-spacers, we will be magnifying the image of our sun para makita natin yung mga sunspots na yan in greater detail. Alright, and habang hinihintay po natin yung magnified image ng ating araw, Shout out po sa mga officers and crew of the Vedan Society of Young Astronomers headed by Miss Angeline Kilang. And ako po ay magpapasalamat dun sa mga nanood at tumangkilik dun sa ating webinar kahapon, April 27. Alright, that webinar is about the Artemis program, yung lunar program na plano ng NASA. Alright, so ang title na We Are Going Back to the Moon, the Artemis program. So sa lahat po ng mga nanood at sumali sa aming Zoom meeting kahapon about the Artemis program and ang aming guest speaker na si Mr. Rodion Herrera, maraming salamat po. Alright, and sa lahat ng mga ka-spacers po natin na nanonood po ngayon, shout out po sa inyong lahat. Alright, and again po ang napaka-importanting batas habang nanonood po kayo ng ating online telescope viewing ay ikalat po natin itong online telescope viewing so that we could reach more people, lalong-lalo na po yung mga estudyante para they would be inspired to love the sciences. No, lalong-lalo na yung astronomy. So, pakiusap ko lang, no? Ako'y nakikiusap sa inyo. Please lang mga ka-spacers, ikalat natin to, like and share. Alright, itong ating online telescope viewing. Lalong-lalo na po para sa mga kabataan po natin ito, lalong sa mga estudyante. Alright, so ito na po mga ka-spacers. So, this is the magnified image of our sun with sunspots. Ayan po, no? Alright, so ito nasa bandang edge na ng araw. Actually matagalan natin na obserbahan po yan. So gumalaw lang po, nagbago yung position. Alright. Okay, yan. So isang grupo yan po ng sunspots na madami na we have been observing that for several days already. Na nagbago lang po yung position niya. Alright. Ayan, di ba fascinating po mga ka-spacers? So if you're fascinated and if you're amazed by what you are seeing right now, just type in your reactions or your comments in our comment section below. Ayan. We would like to hear from you mga ka-spacers. Now, mag-comment po kayo kung kayo'y namamangha. And eto po, napakalaking sunspot nito, no? Mas malaki pa ito sa mundo natin. And makikita nyo yung darker central region called the umbra and the lighter outer section called the penumbra. Ayan po, no? So merong itim doon sa gitna, that's the umbra, and may lighter outer section called the penumbra. Okay, yan, meron pa ho dito, no? Ayan, no? Kitang-kita yung umbra saka yung penumbra niya at may mga maliliit pa, no? Na mga spots na katabi niya. Alright, so fascinating indeed mga ka-spacers. Alright, we are moving the telescope. Ayan, no, meron pang dito near the edge of the sun. Yan, kita yung umbra and yung penumbra niya. And meron pa dito na maliit, no, sa bandang right ng ating image. Alright. So, ayan, tinataas ulit natin yung telescope. Ayan, makikita natin yung napakalaking sunspot na yan with its umbra and penumbra. Alright. Okay, ako'y natatahimik na lang at talagang ako'y namamangha din, no? Malalaki itong mga sunspots na to, no? Ayan, lalo na to, di. Itong sunspot na ito, mas malaki pa to sa mundo natin. Alright, and kita yung central dark region called the umbra and the lighter outer section called the penumbra. Alright, and again, these sunspots are caused by disturbances in the sun's magnetic field welling up to the photosphere. Ayan, so ito pa yung grupo ng sunspots na malalaki din yan at we have been observing that for several days now. Then ito din po yung malaking sunspot na to, no? Fantastic talaga. Alright. Okay, ayan po. Kita pa yung umbra saka yung penumbra niya. Alright, so napakaganda po, napakalinaw po ng ating camera na ginagamit. Alright, then ito din po yung grupo ng sunspots na ito na malalaki near the edge of our sun. Ayan. And ito po yung telescope na ginamit ko for our solar imaging. So this is a Vixen custom 80mm refracting telescope equipped with a Baader solar filter. Alright, and again po sa isang importanteng batas sa pag-o-observe ng araw. Never observe the sun directly. Alright, so dapat yung telescope ay may filter so that we can observe the sun safely, na hindi masisira po yung mga mata natin. Alright, so ayan po yung mga sunspots na yan. So that is the magnified image of our sun, mga ka-spacers, with sunspots. Alright. Okay, so isn't that fascinating, no, mga ka-spacers? So today is April 28 and I took this recording of our sun with sunspots kaninang umaga po, mga 8:30 ng umaga. Alright, and ang tanong mga ka-spacers, ano po yung effect ng mga sunspots na to sa mundo natin? No? Ano yung effect? No? The effects of these increasing number of sunspots sa mundo natin, the effect of sunspots sa Earth. Alright, we know mga ka-spacers that these sunspots are caused by disturbances in the sun's magnetic field welling up to the photosphere. That's the visible surface of the sun. The powerful magnetic fields in the vicinity of those sunspots produce active regions on the sun, which in turn frequently spawn disturbances such as solar flares and coronal mass ejections. Itong mga solar flares and coronal mass ejections, they are powerful eruptions, mga explosions yan, yan po sa surface ng sun, driven by kinks, okay, in the solar magnetic field. And yung mga ripples ng explosions na yan, they can travel through the solar system, and dito po sa mundo natin they can interrupt satellites and power grids here on Earth. Alright, so ayun pa yung epekto ng mga increasing sunspots sa mundo natin. If sunspots are active, more solar flares will result, creating an increase in geomagnetic storm activity for the Earth. So during solar max, no, habang dumadami po yung mga sunspots natin, we will observe or we will see an increase in northern and southern lights and possible radio communication disruptions and power grid interruptions po. So yun po yung epekto ng increasing sunspots sa mundo natin. Okay, and we are now entering the so-called solar max or solar maximum. So asahan po natin na dadami pa yan. No? We will observe increasing number of sunspots in the following days and weeks to come. Alright po mga ka-spacers. So kung meron po kayong mga katanungan or kung meron po kayong reactions or comments po sa ating solar image na nakikita po natin ngayon, just feel free to type in your comments, your reactions in our comment section below. Alright? Okay po. So ayan po yung epekto ng sunspots sa mundo natin. Alright? So if sunspots are active, we would expect more solar flares, and these increasing solar flares will result creating an increase in geomagnetic storm activity for the Earth. And during sunspot maximum, we would see an increase in the northern and southern lights, yung mga auroras po, kasi they affect the Earth's ionosphere, and also possible disruption in radio transmissions and power grids. Okay po. Ayan, so maasahan po natin yung mga solar flares na yan and even coronal mass ejections. Okay. And yan na po. This is the magnified image of our sun for the second time. So kung na-miss nyo po, ito po yung ating magnified image so that we can observe in detail yung mga sunspots na yan. Alright, so ito pa yung malaking grupo ng sunspots na yan. Actually, na-observe na natin to in the last several days now. And gumalaw po, no? Nag-iba po yung position. Kasi nag-rotate po yung araw. Ayan po, alright? Okay, so ayan po yung malaking grupo ng sunspots na yan, no? Alright, and we are moving the telescope. Ayan, so nakakamangha talaga, no? What do you think? So kung may mga comments po kayo or reactions, just type in your comments, your reactions in our comment section below. And ayan po, napakalaking sunspot na yan. Mas malaki pa ho yan sa mundo natin. And makikita nyo yung central dark region called the umbra and the lighter outer section called the penumbra. Alright, so I am moving the telescope again, pababa po tayo. Ayan, so marami pong sunspots no, na-observe natin and we will be observing more of these sunspots in the next days to come. Alright, because sunspots form over periods lasting from days to weeks and can persist weeks or even months no, before dissipating. Ganyan po yung mga sunspots. Alright, the average number of spots visible on the face of the sun is not constant, no? But varies in yung solar cycle. So ngayon po talagang maaasahan natin na talagang dadami yung sunspots kasi nasa solar max na po tayo. Okay, ayan po, malaking sunspot din yan. Kitang-kita yung umbra saka yung penumbra niya. Alright, yan. Malaking sunspot din po yan at mas malaki pa yan po sa mundo natin. Right, these sunspots are magnetic storms. Yan, yung malaking grupo na yan. Oh. Nag-iba po yung position yan. Okay, so that shows that the sun is also rotating. Kaya nagbabago rin yung mga position ng mga sunspots. Alright, so are you not fascinated mga ka-spacers? So mag-heart react po kayo, mag-thumbs up. Alright, sa inyong nakikita ngayon on screen. Yan. And we would like to hear from you, no? Mag-comment naman po kayo mga ka-spacers. And again, pakiusap ko lang po para makita po ng mga estudyante to, ng mga kabataan, no? To please like and share. I-share natin to, ikalat natin to sa mga estudyante. No? Para makita man nila itong mga sunspots na ito. And yun po yung aming advocacy dito sa Vedan Society of Young Astronomers and sa Skywatcher Society of Las Piñas. No, we are bringing the telescope to you. Ayan, okay? Kasi marami naman, wala naman, ilan lang po sa atin siguro ang may solar filter para ma-observe natin yung sun na ganito. So pakiusap ko lang po mga ka-spacers na para makita ng maraming tao itong ating araw na may sunspots, ikalat po natin. Alright? And yung mga information na binibigay ko about sunspots ay makakatulong po sa mga estudyante. Alright, so ayan po yung ating magnified image of our sun with sunspots. Today is April 28, 2022 and I took this recording of our sun kanina pong 8:30 ng umaga. Alright, so again po, shout out sa lahat ng mga ka-spacers natin na nanonood po sa ating online telescope viewing. And shout out po sa mga volunteers ko sa Skywatcher Society of Las Piñas and yung mga officers and crew of the Vedan Society of Young Astronomers. Alright po mga ka-spacers, so sana marami po kayong natutunan ngayong araw na ito sa ating online telescope viewing. Alright, so siguro hanggang dito na lang po tayo. Again, ikalat po natin ito sa maraming tao, lalong-lalo na po yung mga estudyante. And ito po yung ating solar imaging ngayon, April 28, 2022. And this is day 28 of Global Astronomy Month. At patapos na rin po tayo sa celebration po natin ng Global Astronomy Month. And gusto ko lang po i-promote yung aming podcast this coming Saturday, April 30. So antabayan niyo po yung Cosmo Quest We will live stream that po sa aming Facebook page, the Vedan Society of Young Astronomers. And ang aming guest po ay si Dr. Armando Lee, a medical frontliner and an amateur astronomer. Si Dr. Armando Lee. Okay po mga ka-spacers, so huwag niyong kalilimutan po, Cosmo Quest this coming Saturday. We will live stream that at 8 o'clock ng gabi, April 30. Alright, so marami pong salamat and sana marami po kayong natutunan at sana nagustuhan niyo po yung ating online telescope viewing. This is your ka-spacer and space commander, Sir Jun Cajigal, saying live long and prosper. Alright, maraming salamat po. Always stay safe. And safe po dahil do not observe the sun directly. Alright, bye-bye po. Marami pong salamat and see you in our next online telescope viewing. Alright, like and share po. Don't forget, like and share.